Hi, everyone. I decided to add on this webinar. It's an add-on, the second part to the coronavirus revisited, because I know people had questions. They wanted details about the virus and vaccination. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical practitioner. My background and experience is in macrobiotics, and I wanted to talk more about the SHI macrobiotic view of health and sickness, because I think it's really important. And it's the essence of everything we do. It's how I live my life, and it's how I guide my clients. And it's also I try to give them a model of health, something to look forward to help them recover their health and maintain lasting health. So George Osawa, the founder of modern day macrobiotics, created 7 conditions of health. And these conditions were certainly adopted by Michio Kushi. And I found this definition very, very important. It's actually one of my favorite things to talk about. So George Osawa outlined physical health, mental, emotional health, and spiritual health. So for physical health, we have good vitality, the energy to live our life and to do what we want. We can always figure out how to do things and get them done. A good appetite, which means a good appetite and enjoyment of healthy food. The ability to enjoy healthy food and be satisfied by healthy food. Also, the ability to eat everything we want to or care to eat. The next one is to have deep and refreshing sleep. So, to be able to fall asleep easily, to sleep through the night, to wake up easily, and to feel refreshed. These 3 things are the basis of physical health in macrobiotics. Next, we have mental and emotional health. And the first one is a good memory. A good memory, basically for all of life, and a memory which actually grows and strengthens as we get older. Because in order to have good judgment, in order to make sound decisions, we need to have a good memory of what's happened before, personally and in society. This is the basis of sound thinking, sound decision making, or in macrobiotics we say good judgment. And as we know, memory is becoming more and more of a problem, and people are losing their memory, getting dementia at an earlier and earlier age now. This is a stark contrast to traditional societies where elders were looked to for their guidance, and they could provide good guidance to those younger because they had powerful memories and they could remember what happened in their own life, their family, and around them in the society in which we lived. So the foundation of good mental and emotional health is a good memory. Second part is to be calm and patient. Now, I'd have to say, modern people, as a modern person, as modern people, we're severely lacking in calmness and patience, and I'd have to add acceptance along with that. These things, just think driving a car, just think anything. We want everything instantaneously now. So it's not easy to be calm and patient. Then the next one is to be joyous and alert, to live with a sense of joyousness, and also to have a physical and mental alertness that keeps us safe, including quick reactions physically and mentally, our ability to figure out how to do things, especially in difficult or dangerous situations. So these 3 conditions are for our mental emotional health. Then we have spiritual health, or what George Osawa called spiritual health, which is endless appreciation for all of life, appreciating the good along with the bad. And my observation throughout the years, the one factor that enables people to overcome not only so-called terminal illness but difficulties in life is the depth and their sense of appreciation. Because in every case that I've ever heard, well, every time I've heard a testimonial, and believe me, I've heard plenty of people that have recovered from terminal illness, everyone says the same thing. And what they say is, my disease was the best thing that ever happened to me because it enabled me to discover and create this new life. Now, what I find interesting about that, okay, number one, it's almost impossible to accomplish or to be complete in these seven conditions. It's a guide, it's a direction, it's how to compare ourselves to a truly healthy person. It's not a judgment. It's not to make us feel bad. It's not to put us down and think I'm lacking. It's to say, this is the potential, the capability, the capacity of a healthy human being, and to give us something, a role model, a model to aspire to. Now, the three conditions of physical health only get 5 points each. That's 15 points. The three conditions of mental, emotional health get 10 points each. That's a maximum of 30 points. So if we're perfect in our physical and mental, emotional health, we can only get 45 points. Right? That means spiritual health, endless appreciation for all of life is 55 points. In other words, to pass George Osawa's test, so to speak, conditions of health, we have to have spiritual health. But it says more than that. It says health is guided by appreciation for all of life, for all people, for everything, in this universe, everything that exists, to have endless appreciation. But it shows that physical health does not lead to mental or spiritual health. In turn, spiritual health can lead to mental, emotional health, which leads to physical health. So even though we think of macrobiotics as a diet, often we say the macrobiotic diet, which is really a misnomer. It's the macrobiotic lifestyle. And within the lifestyle is a way of eating that became known as the macrobiotic diet. But what we're talking about is self-development, self-transformation, trying to develop our deep sense of appreciation for all of life, for ourselves and for others, then to develop our mental and emotional health, and finally, lastly, to develop good physical health following. So it's our appreciation which creates our vitality. It's our appreciation which creates our ability to sleep. And it's our appreciation that creates our enjoyment of food, where you can say satisfaction with delicious, healthy food. Now, George Osawa also created the progressive development of illness. In other words, illness is not accident, it's not happenstance. Illness develops according to a very clear pattern. So the beginning of all illness is fatigue, loss of vitality. What does that really mean? Fatigue or loss of vitality means that we're becoming acidic. We're losing our natural alkaline condition. And when we become acidic, then we start to lose oxygen, we start to lose vitality. So, how do we become acidic? We become acidic because we have an imbalance in our diet and activity. In our book, The Ultimate Guide to Eating for Longevity, in our book, I give my reinterpretation of acid and alkaline. It's not scientific. It's not recognized by science yet, but my experience is everything that George Osawa said started in the 50s, which was said by the Kushis and the Haras and other macrobiotic teachers over the years, every word has become validated scientifically. So I'm sure my model will become the model of acid and alkaline that can really be used and can be verified scientifically and also correlates with yin and yang. But basically, extremes create acidity. Balance creates alkalinity, diet, activity, and attitude. So in an essence, but there's more details in the book. However, once we start to become imbalanced, then we start to lose our vitality. We start to feel fatigued, which is the most common complaint people have today. Second thing that happens then, because of that, our circulation is affected and we develop aches and pains and stiffness. Now, at one time, people thought stiffness was the beginning of old age. I mean, most kids I know are stiff now. So um, I don't know if that holds true anymore. But the point is, the second stage of development, we start to get aches, pains, and you see almost everybody, they don't even think about it. They take over-the-counter pain medications. It's like almost a daily thing for aches and pains. Then finally, the next stage is blood disorders, red blood cells, white blood cells, lymph. So imbalance leads to imbalances in our circulation because our diet and activity and thinking are imbalanced, which then directly affects our blood. The next stage is emotional. And the interesting point is they affect each other in each direction because our emotions affect our blood. Everybody knows that, right? When you're happy, it's good for your blood quality, it's good for alkalinity, it's good for your lymph. So, infectious disease, COVID 19, is partly, mainly on the so called third level of illness. Our blood quality is affected. Our blood and lymph are not the quality that they should be, which leads to emotional imbalances, which in turn, emotional imbalances lead to organ imbalances, right? Organ imbalances eventually lead to nerve system problems, major mental illness, Parkinson's disease, ALS, things of that. And George Osawa saw the highest disease, the most pervasive disease in society is arrogance. Arrogance, according to George Osawa, and I have to concur, is the beginning and end of all disease. Now, what I have to say, along with good health, which what I didn't include, the sixth condition of health, joyous and alert also means keen intuition. When we used to do the Mid-Atlantic Summer Camp, for 3 years we had a Tai Chi master, T.T. Liang, come. He was an absolutely wonderful man. In the second year, we asked him after the camp, would you come back again? Would you join us next year? And he thought again a second and then said, yes, I will be here. Yes, I'll be at the camp, but yes, I'll still be here on the planet. I will still be with you next year. Right? After the third year, he wouldn't commit again. He knew that, this was the time. But what he said, but that was most interesting, he said, in 45 years of playing Tai Chi, I've never had to use it for self-defense because if there's trouble on that side of the street, I was on this side of the street. So I was always able to avoid trouble. In other words, he was joyous and alert who had a keen sense of intuition to keep his life safe. Well, avoiding sickness, whether it be infectious sickness or degenerative illness, also depends on our intuition, our choices in life, our choices in foods, our choices in location, our choices where we travel to be at the right place at the right time and not to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. So this is all part of the process of health. So what we can do with macrobiotics, we can understand if we have a problem with our health. Is it minor? Is it serious? How much attention do we need to give to it? Now, the next point about the macrobiotic approach to health and sickness is probably the most important. Health and sickness are front and back and cannot be separated. In the same way, day and night can't be separated. We can't say exactly where day ends and night begins and the other way around. At the same time, there is no day without night and no night without day. In other words, every day has some darkness, some clouds. Every night has some brightness, stars or the moon. Everything has somewhat of its opposite. Nothing exists alone. It can't be, which means there's no health without sickness, and there's no sickness without health. When we have sickness without health, that's when we pass, right? So we have a degree of health, everyone, which means health is a direction in life. It's not a condition. Health is something we move towards day by day, or sickness is something we move towards day by day. We can't move in both directions. So modern medicine is about sickness. So my question is, if health and sickness are interrelated, one can't exist without the other. If you destroy sickness, doesn't it destroy health as well? Well, think about antibiotics. They don't discriminate between healthy and unhealthy bacteria. They wipe the slate clean. They destroy everything. Once you destroy all your healthy, gut microbes, then unhealthy ones can enter. Right? You have to scramble to refill it. Nature abhors a vacuum. You have to refill your gut with healthy microbes to keep the unhealthy ones out. Well, what happens when you're sanitizing your hands constantly? Unhealthy microbes build up. When you make bread, it's your microbiome. It's the microbes on your hands, yeast, etc., that are making the quality of the bread or pickles, so to speak. So in any case, the modern approach is trying to destroy or avoid sickness in order to create health, but it doesn't work. What about the war on sickness? Has it decreased sickness? The war on cancer. Has cancer gotten less since, well, in, let's see, 1900, cancer was 1 out of 25. 1950, 1 out of 8. Now 1 between 2 and 3. I don't know what year they started the war on cancer, but cancer has increased steadily since we had a war on cancer, war on heart disease, war on drugs, right? In other words, wars don't create peace. Wars on sickness create sickness, not health. You can't become healthy by focusing on sickness. It doesn't work. That's our problem. Modern medicine is focusing on sickness, understanding sickness, destroying sickness. So it's not that I'm against modern medicine. I'm not. It's not that I'm against vaccines. I'm not. I'm for creating strong, lasting, flexible, durable health, focusing on health, because the reality is we're not meant to be sick. We're not meant to get sick as we age. We're meant to be healthy. Our body is a self-healing mechanism which knows how to be healthy, which gives us health if we have a healthy diet and lifestyle. In other words, health is the result of macrobiotic practice. It is not the goal. Macrobiotics is a lifestyle about creating a healthy way of eating, a healthy living, and a healthy attitude. These three things, the essence of health comes from three things: good food, a good way of eating and diet; good activity, a good balance of physical and mental activity, and an active daily life; and a good attitude, and understanding that we are meant to be healthy, vital, creative individuals and to live that way. So, this is really the approach that SHI is trying to promote. And the idea, I don't think I got it across. I wasn't satisfied with how I got it across in Coronavirus Revisited. So I wanted to focus on this. Then The next point is, I think most people will agree, our world is in trouble in so many different ways. Food security is an issue. Food prices are an issue. Food quality, food availability in large scale, right? Our ability to take the time to take care of ourselves, to shop, to uh, cook healthy food, it just in so many ways, our understanding about health and sickness. What is so unique about macrobiotics is personal health leads to family health, leads to social health, to planetary health. No, they can't be separated. If you eat good food, then you're affecting the health and well-being of your family, whether they enjoy it or enjoy whether they join you or not. Still, it's influencing them and their choices to a certain degree. And if you're surrounded by people that eat unhealthy food, it's affecting you. It goes both ways. We are not isolated. Our actions have direct effect and bearing on those around us. So if you decide to live a healthy lifestyle, you're doing very important things for those around you. You're making healthy choices in every aspect of your life. And health creates health. Healthy people want to share health with others. Just think of the excitement when you discover something about health. You want to give it to others, you want to share it, you want people to do it with you. This is the nature of health. It's infectious, it goes. So we talk about, infectious disease. We talk about COVID-19 spreading. So we know that viruses spread. That's their nature. They spread and they change. And then they lose their energy and they die out. They're short lived. As human beings, we have much longer life, but health is infectious. So as we create health, as we create good health, we want to share it with others. We want to share it more and more. So when enough people share health, then we'll have a healthier society. We'll have a healthier world. George Osawa's goal in macrobiotics was not health. George Osawa's goal was to unify East and West to create world peace. Growing up in World War II Japan and living in post war Japan, then his real goal was world peace. And he wanted to accomplish that by unifying East and West to bring the spirituality of the East to the technology and analytical thinking of the West so that we could have the best of both worlds. So spirit, right, could lead technology towards health. That was really his goal. And everything he did in macrobiotics was towards that end. My goal is a little different. My goal is to unify history and medicine. That means macrobiotics is about history and human experience, about interpreting, reinterpreting, and adapting our collective human experience to make it ideal as much as possible from now and moving into the future. Together with that, science can refine human history and experience through the analytical method, can say this might be better than that, can help us give us direction. But science needs direction. It doesn't know where to look. Science itself, so far, has not created health, and I don't think it ever will. But if we combine the two, we have the best of both worlds. So this is really, uh, what macrobiotics is about, what SHI is about, of moving these things out to shape our approach to health and hopefully eventually food policy. So if you have questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them. And I hope this makes sense because it's such an important topic and it's really the main thing I'm trying to get out. What a healthy person really means and how vital health is for ourselves and those around us. And again, our book, The Ultimate Guide to Eating for Longevity, really is a handbook for all these things that I'm saying. Healthy eating, healthy lifestyle, and the most delicious, tasty, healthy cooking. So thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jenny, for that very insightful discussion and information that I'm pretty sure everyone benefited greatly from. As Jenny mentioned, we will be moving into a Q&A segment now. So if any individual has questions in regards to the topic at hand, so what we talked about with the macrobiotic approach to health and sickness. So I think we can take about maybe 10, maybe upwards of 15 minutes or so to address some questions. So you can either send them directly to the chat, or I would ask maybe, you can either raise your hand or use the raise hand feature, and I can just call on you to ask verbally or directly. So, okay, Carol, it looks like you have a question. Carol Raftis, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Denny and Tehran. And Denny, this was one of your best lectures that I've heard. And, I've heard a lot of your lectures, but this is really outstanding and I really appreciate it. Yeah, it was really good.
Thank you.
Would you say it's in the book? A summary of it is in the book, would you say, in your longevity book?
Well, I touch upon some of those points. It's, a
Yeah.
central focus of our studies, at SHI. And it's also
Oh, right.
in Michio's Book of Macrobiotics, which I recommend, everyone get, because it's really the philosophical basis of macrobiotics is in that book. And our book is the practical approach, and
Yeah.
philosophy and practice, again, balance each other.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I'll come back if there's time. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
You are welcome.
Oops, I was muted. We have time for some other questions if anyone has one for Denny regarding the topic at hand. Make sure I can see everyone on my screen. Carol, go ahead.
Okay. I'm jumping right in. Anyway, you did mention vaccination, so topic at hand. Supposing you have to get, for whatever reason, you have to get the vaccination. And what would you recommend as to protocol after the vaccination? I know they've been mentioning seaweed, and I have confidence in my body because it's been in the macrobiotic training and philosophy. So, but specifically, would you have any recommendations? And I really appreciate it.
I don't know how much will help after the fact. I think it's before the fact. If you
Okay.
decide to get the vaccination, it's having good macrobiotic practice for as much time as possible before the vaccination. I think that's, the health puts us in the best position to do well in for every aspect in life. So, yeah, but I can't think of anything, and I don't know if there's anything after the fact. It's really what you can do before the fact, which I think has the greatest bearing and importance.
Thank you, Denny. Appreciate it very much.
All right. Does anyone else have questions? If not, maybe we could end a little bit earlier for today.
No. Wish we
Gretchen?
could stay talking.
Gretchen, you can unmute yourself.
You say you don't have any recommendations for after the shot, but isn't it really just continuation of the practices that you had before you would take the shot, or is there anything because of the way the shot operates that people might think about emphasizing if they get the shot or after they get the shot? You know, uh, true confession here. I did not want to get the shot, and I ended up getting it this morning with my husband because it was very important to him, and it was important to my daughter. You know, it's just a lot of interesting pressure from people who I love, and I was trying to have the confidence in you know, my practice. But you know, I said, you know what, I can do it with, I can do it without, but I'm going to do it for them, and I did it. So I was concerned about the idea that the vaccine trains your body to make something that your body didn't make in order to get you to fight it. And the idea of the cytokine storm, you know, it's all still a little bit um, theoretical for me in my head. So it's hard for me to think that there's nothing that we need to emphasize should we end up getting the shot, the vaccines. It seems like there should be something, even
Well,
to support what it is that the vaccines do to your cellular structure in order to get you to what they believe is the health condition.
well, of course, I didn't mean that there's nothing to do after. Of course, to continue your good macrobiotic practice as long as you can before, and to continue it, you know, of course, for the long run after is the best thing you can do. Because my longtime observation is people who practice macrobiotics well and get medical treatments do far better
Mhm.
than others with the medical treatments and heal in half the time. And that's literal, like, you know, shoulder replacements, knee replacements, hernias, you know, all kinds of surgeries. People heal in a far better way in far less time than expected. So basically, good macrobiotic practice helps your body operate at its best possible level. Also, it minimizes the chances of an autoimmune reaction, which, you know, is a problem, or a concern. So, um, you know, no matter what we face in life, good macrobiotic practice, I believe, will help us because it helps our bodies run as well as possible. It helps keep us even mentally and emotionally so that we can think clearly. It helps our nervous system function optimally, you know, keeps our intuition good. So practicing macrobiotics, I mean, you're much better off with the vaccine if you're practicing macrobiotics than if you're not, I would say. Yes.
I should have a T-shirt that says, "I practice macrobiotics before I came for the shot."
Good idea.
Janet, Janet, you can, are you unmuted, I think?
Thank
Go ahead.
you.
And then Faida.
Hi there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm just wondering, now that we're talking about the vaccines, how you feel about the vaccine and how it affects COVID, and if you think it's helpful, or just some of your thoughts.
I am not an expert on the vaccine. I had the handful of vaccines that were required, you know, when I was a child. I didn't have any choice in that. And since I started to practice macrobiotics, since I came in contact with it at 17 years old, I haven't had another vaccine. And, you know, that's just been my choice. Um, so, you know, I have no intention of getting any vaccines in life. I'm more interested in living a healthy, natural life. But that's just, you know, that's my approach. And, um, you know, I think informed consent is the most important thing, to do your research and make the decision that you feel comfortable with. So, for example, people come to me with terminal cancer all the time. And the question, can I do this with medical treatment? And again, I said, that's your, you know, I'm going to support you whichever way you want to go. And if I have a strong feeling of something that's important for your health and future, I'll say it. But, you know, I'm here to support you in the best way. And macrobiotic practice does support you. So, I mean, it's the only thing I can say. I really can't say, and I have no intention to say. People ask me, should I get the medical treatment or not? And I say, you've got to research it. You've got to, see, and you know, from your research, is this really the right way to go? And for the vaccine, I feel the same way. I can just say it's not my choice. And my way, I know, is not for everyone. So
I guess more like, I guess my question is a little more like how you feel about it as far as like in the scope of a pandemic and what it can do and not do. Is there anything you can say about that?
well, I thought from the beginning that natural herd immunity is absolutely the best. So, you know, I was around at the time of Woodstock. I didn't go to Woodstock, 1968 and 9. I was already practicing macrobiotics and I didn't want to go. My best friend Smitty went. It was in the, height of a flu pandemic. Glastonbury was in England and there were other, huge conferences. Nothing changed and it ran its course and it disappeared. And that's the approach I would have taken with this, since 80% of people are completely asymptomatic. They don't even know that they had it. I would have let everything be open and let everybody develop natural herd immunity and quarantined people who were at risk only until the herd immunity was established. But, that was not the direction we took. We took to try to protect yourselves from it. And to me, protecting yourself from it when you have generally good health actually weakens you. Like I keep going on about sanitizers. Hospitals have the, worst infections anywhere because of the excessive sterilization. So, then there's question, is the vaccine itself going to really keep us safe? And I really don't know. I don't see a consensus on that. And, we've never been successful with the SARS vaccine in the past. So, there's a lot of questions which I certainly cannot answer yet.
And the whole thing that they say about herd immunity kind of being impossible.
Well, I mean, common experience, just thinking in the past, problems that were problems disappeared over time. I mean, how did they disappear? Either they lose their vitality or their potency, or we developed herd immunity. I don't really know, but I think herd immunity does. I mean, we learn in life and we learn not to make the same mistakes. It might take a few times. It's the same thing. Our body learns how to deal with something and not be affected by it. So I don't agree. There is, I think there naturally, I don't like the term, but I think there is a collective immunity, is a collective understanding, a collective experience. And, and that grows. We learn from each other, we develop from each other, and we get new strengths. So I think it's clearly by being exposed to this, our body learns how to deal with it. And the more healthy people, then the more, we benefit. So
I think it's
science
kind of
keeps
like,
changing. So I'm sorry, science keeps changing what they're saying. So you can't get any clearer clarity from that.
right.
So it comes down to common sense and what appeals to you.
And what you were mentioning about kind of always just this war mentality that just makes things worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
War doesn't create peace. Hatred doesn't create love, right? Love creates love.
I found the book. It's backwards. Can you see it?
I'm sorry, I can't say anything.
Denny can't see anything, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. It's the book of macrobiotics and looks excellent. Thank you for the recommendation.
It's wonderful. They're keeping me in the
Yeah.
dark here. I can only see myself. That's
Oh dear. Oh, you can't see us. Okay.
right.
Aina, you had a question?
Yeah, I think it's a quick question. Danny, thank you. First of all, thank you for beautiful lecture. And
Beautiful.
how many times I listened to you, and like always something fresh and something important for me resonate with
Thank you.
Do you have any statistics, or is it possible to have how many macrobiotic people, macrobiotic people mean people who really practice macrobiotic, contracted COVID, and in which form they contracted and how they coped with this? I thought it would be interesting statistic if it's ever possible to have it.
Okay, I don't have any statistics, but that's a very good question because it seems more and more people, they're not getting their taste or their smell back. More and more people are having a problem with brain fog and fatigue afterwards.
Ooh.
That doesn't seem to go away. And the reason I know this, someone I was talking to who's in contact with a lot of people today told me and asked me, can macrobiotics help with the after symptoms? And the answer is absolutely yes. If you're practicing macrobiotics and you get COVID, you're going to do better. Now, I don't have any statistics. I only have one client out of everyone from the beginning who really had a hard time with this. Now, I have an MD friend. He practices macrobiotics. In the beginning, he went to a conference in Spain. He got it at the conference, and because he really wanted to understand about it. His partner, his medical partner, doesn't practice macrobiotics. They both got it. He got through it like it was nothing, and his partner struggled with it. He didn't practice macrobiotics. Now, again, that's not scientific, but it's my experience with a lot of people and family members, of those people. If you practice macrobiotics, and I say it kind of jokingly, but I believe it. Healthy people get healthy viruses. Healthy people get healthy colds, flus, etc. You deal much better. But I can say macrobiotic people practicing macrobiotics get through things in about half the expected time, with far less symptoms. Even chemotherapy, people practicing macrobiotics, they don't have the same symptoms that other people do. So it helps in every way. And it certainly helps with recovery. But I don't know how we can get statistics.
I just want to add, my mom, who is 94, thank God, she got COVID and she was by herself in the apartment. I was not allowed to go there. And she was at some point, as you know, when macrobiotic, then she decided I don't want to. When she got COVID, the only thing I was asking her to eat miso soup, and I was making sure that miso soup at her door. And she ate miso soup every day. This is all she could eat because she couldn't feel the taste. Everything was burning inside, but somehow she recovered. No, like miracle. 94 years old.
That's great. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Right. Miso soup, I think miso soup really helped. Plus her
miso soup helps.
constitution, right?
Yes. Even past macrobiotic practice still has an effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, oh, Janet, did you have another question? This may be our last question.
Thank you. Just one question. Do you work with cell salts at all?
I do not. I purely diet, lifestyle, activity, attitude. The only supplement I recommend is vitamin B12, and that's about it.
Not D3 like everyone's saying now for
No,
COVID.
no. My experience is that these things lead to not only lasting health, but the most durable health, and that's what I think is most valuable.
And why B12?
Well, okay. We come from a largely agrarian society, small farms. So then we had the cows or the pigs or the chickens, whatever. And then the manure would go into the soil and people would grow their food. And the main source of B12 worldwide is in soil, and especially from manure in the soil breaking down. That's what produces the B12. So it's a micronutrient. So in the crevices of vegetables is B12. That means in the past, the soil in this country was rich with B12, and people got enough just from having, locally grown vegetables. Well, now we've come a long way in the wrong way, terrible agriculture. So unless we're getting our food from a small organic farm that's rebuilt of soil, we don't have the source of B12. Plus, then the vegetables go through a hydrocooler. They're sterilized when we get to them. So even if they're grown well, and add B12, we're not getting it in the same way. Even with that, some people never ever have a problem after, life of macrobiotic practice, even their kids, and some people do. So just to be safe, because it's not toxic, I recommend take a B12 supplement.
Can you recommend how and which one
Just a sublingual, methyl B12 sublingual.
and how much?
1,000 micrograms. If you've never taken one, you can do it daily for 2 months, but then 2-3 times a week after should be plenty.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you, Denny.
Yeah.
Thank you, Taran.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank
Taran.
you.
Thank you all.
Excellent.
Good. Bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye now.